You know, there are times when we try to find out why a public official or somebody considered newsworthy, why they were fired from a job, or why they may have been put on a suspension or administrative leave. But we're usually told two words to explain why HR can't explain: personnel matters. They don't divulge why an employee might have been disciplined or reprimanded. However, when the person on the receiving end of that rebuke reveals it, well, then I guess it's okay. And that's exactly what we've seen play out this week in Idaho's Senate. Two freshman senators, make that three freshman senators. Late this afternoon, we were told of another, but more on that in a moment. All three members of the Freedom Caucus were told by Senate leadership they needed to stop what they were doing, accused of being disrespectful, disparaging, and degrading to their fellow lawmakers. Two even relieved of some duties. So those three senators decided to share that with the public. A ploy each side, the senators and the pro tem, accuses the other of using to score political points. During the last week of October, two state senators published two articles online. One from Sagal's Senator Scott Herndon, the other from Glenada Zeiderveld of Twin Falls. The latter, Zeiderveld's, centered around condemning the Idaho Association of Commerce and Industry's involvement in the policies coming out of the State House. She referred to the business lobby as Goliath, furthering the interest of global corporations and therefore a threat to our republic and state sovereignty. It included a slate of lawmakers endorsed by IACI and a picture of several Republicans who apparently carry their water. The other was a newsletter from Senator Herndon explaining how the state spends taxpayer money.
Mine was, generally speaking, educational on how the budget process works.
And in Herndon's opinion, your money has been spent rather freely by state senators the last 2 years.
I wasn't actually pointing particularly at JFAC. I was talking about the Senate in general.
However, Senator Chuck Winder saw it another way.
Basically, that all the other senators were just big spenders. They didn't do a thorough job in the committee, and that basically he was the only one doing a great job for the people of Idaho.
So the Senate pro tem sent Senators Zeiderveld and Herndon each a letter saying so, accusing both of degrading the work of their colleagues. Winder removed Zeiderveld as vice chair in the Health and Welfare Committee and asked Herndon to retract his newsletter and apologize to every other senator serving on the Joint Finance Appropriations Committee.
He decided, and I don't know what his motivations were, that he was going to go police two members of the Republican caucus when you could attempt to police any of the members of the Senate.
They can question my motive all they want, but my motive is basically to protect the institution of the Senate, protect the civility of the Senate, so that you don't have these kind of public displays of attacking people. Before it escalates even more, try to deal with it.
It escalated anyway, according to Senator Winder, because normally the public wouldn't know about such letters.
Well, I was disappointed, I think, because typically, you know, when we do something like this, it's kept, you know, private. I didn't go public with it. I didn't call a press conference. I tried to do it personally with the people, which I think is the right way to do it.
Okay.
But they chose to take one more swat and go after me personally. And
it took a few days, but Senators Herndon and Zeiderveld released the reprimand with a little help.
They obviously did it purposefully. They did it in coordination with the Idaho Freedom Foundation. And I think that this is all part of their strategy.
I think we decided to take it public. We probably need to send a message to the Senate pro tem that we don't really want him attempting to regulate our speech in this way.
They certainly have a freedom of speech right, but within the body, as a member of the body, they have to respect one another, and you debate the bills, you debate the policies, but you don't attack the people.
Winder believes freedom of speech does not mean freedom from consequences.
It's given them notice.
But that doesn't mean those consequences will be accepted. Will you be retracting what you wrote?
Absolutely not. And I told him that in the hall last Wednesday when I talked to him outside of the JFAC meeting room, and told him I didn't think an apology was going to be necessary for such a thing.
At the very least, Winder hopes this will be taken as a
teaching moment for us.
Probably not.
And again, I would argue that to do that, he could have simply called us aside in the hallway or called us by telephone. But also, we're not children, so we don't necessarily need to be taught. It's certain that we don't know everything in the world and that we're open to learning new things. But the role of a pro tem is not to be a parent over the other senators.
He's always going to look at it in a negative way, I think. I think I am here to help. I think we are here to mentor people, and part of that is being respectful of one another.
Okay, so late this afternoon, Senator Brian Lenny from Nampa received a similar letter from the Senate Pro Tem dated November 6th, like the other two, but this one must have gotten lost in the mail. Anyway, it accuses Senator Lenny of aggressively attacking, disparaging, and degrading fellow members of the Senate, Senate leadership, and members of the general public on countless occasions. Senator Winder went on to say Senator Lenny disrespected the decorum of the legislative process. So the Senate Pro Tem exercised his authority and relieved Senator Lenny of his vice chair duties on the Senate Commerce and Human Resources Committee. Senator Lenny, of course, posted it on social media. "What a shocker," he said. "He's booted me from my vice chair position, hurled an ethics violation threat at me, and scolded me like I'm some school kid. I haven't spoken to the guy in about 7 months, and now, just like that, poof, I'm public enemy number 3. Of course, the Idaho Freedom Caucus claims this is all being done as a vendetta by Senator Winder, but Winder told us these issues were brought to him by several other members of the Senate, and they asked him to deal with it. We tried to speak with Senator Zeiderveld about her letter, but we've yet to hear back.